In primetime news, the Zulu Nation is celebrating 200 years of existence. Founded by King Shaka in 1816, it began as a small tribe of only 1,500 people. Over the years, the Zulus have survived wars, famine and hostility from white governments. Linda Mkobozi compiled the following report.
The Zulu Nation, South Africa's biggest indigenous group, formed in 1816 by one of the bravest leaders of his time, King Shaka, now led by King Goodwill Zwelithini, the only recognized monarch in KwaZulu-Natal.
I don't know much about the Zulu Nation. What we do know is what we're taught in schools and what we actually get from other people. But probably in the early 1700s, King Shaka's father, King Shaka himself afterwards.
A nation that prides itself in its roots, in its foundations, in its globalization as a whole. So, in terms of its origins, how far dated back they come from, I can really not be sure. However, they are a very good and a great nation as far as I'm concerned.
Briefly, from what I've learned from history at school, the Zulu tribes moved across Africa and settled in Natal, and with King Shaka and his he was like the main forebear of the Zulu Nation.
Yeah, I know they come from the Nguni tribe, from about Central Africa, and Shaka's Zulu became very big.
29-year-old Shaka took over leadership of the Zulu clan after the death of his father, Senza Ngakona. He immediately attacked neighboring tribes, annexing them and turning them into his subjects. He would confiscate their land and cattle, in the process turning the Zulu Nation into a powerful machinery. He controlled land from the Utukela River to the border with Mozambique. At the age of 41, Shaka was assassinated by his two brothers, Dingaan and Mhlangane. Dingaan, who took over, reigned for 10 years and was killed after being defeated at the Battle of Blood River, where 3,000 Zulu warriors perished. King Mpande ascended to the throne and ruled for 34 years. During this time, peace and stability prevailed. Problems started again when Mpande's son, King Cetshwayo, took over. He fought the British and won at the Battle of Isandlwana, but was defeated at Ulundi.
After the Zulu people were conquered here in Ulundi, then the colonial government, the British government, tried to fragment the Zulu nation. In fact, they encouraged some of Amakosi not to recognize him as their king, which was an effort actually to destroy, because in fact some of the British imperialists, such as Sepp Bartle-Frere, were quite candid about it. They said that Zulu power must be broken once and for all.
But this did not break the nation. It remained resolute and strong.
In fact, they survived all those efforts.
Dinuzulu became the 5th Zulu king after his father, King Cetshwayo, was poisoned and died. The Zulus were experiencing disintegration. The British had divided Zululand into 13 territories.
And that resulted in the civil war, where the Zulu people themselves fought among themselves, Usutu and Mandlakazi, which actually suited their plans to destroy that unity which King Shaka had brought about.
King Dinuzulu faced banishment and served time in prison. The following two kings, Solomon and Cypriel Bheki Zulu, did not engage in wars, but suffered under white rule and were not recognized as kings. The current monarch, King Goodwill Zwelithini, was installed in 1968. He has been active in reviving the Zulu culture, among them the reed dance, umkhosi wekoshama and circumcision.
By reviving those things, I think that those things are in fact going to be pillars that will keep us going perhaps for another 200 years.
To date, it's estimated that there are about 11 million of Zulus in South Africa, mainly living in KwaZulu-Natal.
All different political parties have accepted that the Zulu King is the monarch for the province and is the king for all that are living in this province. Doesn't matter what color, creed you are, I am your king. So now, there is a lot of things that I've been experiencing that has been a challenge to me, is to look at social cohesion to all these different groups.
It's a 200-year journey from about 1,500 in 1816 to about 11 million people today.
Even as homage to King Shaka himself, I think we ought to, as the king suggests, celebrate him, celebrate the genius who brought us together as different clans who were independent, who didn't comprise one nation, by bringing them together to build such a great nation. Linda
Mkopozi, SABC News, Durban.